Yo, how's it going, YouTube? I'm back with another video, and today I'm talking about why the Memphis Grizzlies could be the next super team. Now, albeit I'll even admit that super team could be a little bit of a stretch of a saying, but I do think that they could be a very, very good team, and maybe even dark horse contending team going into next season if they're fully healthy and if they improve on a few things I'm beginning to in this video. So if that does sound interesting to you at any point, please hit the like button and subscribe button. It would mean the absolute world to me, and hope you watch the entire video all the way through and leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me your thoughts on the video, but without further ado, without running on too much, let's get right into this video. So the first thing I want to get into for this video is going to be what their ceiling actually is. Now, their ceiling does go kind of hand in hand with how good Jaren Jackson Jr. are and how good Ja Morant is, but I don't think it relies as much as on Ja Morant as much as it does on Jaren Jackson Jr. Not because I think Ja Morant's worse or better or anything. Obviously, Ja Morant is a better player than Jaren Jackson Jr., but I think he is a superstar. You know what you're getting out of him, but Jaren Jackson Jr., you just don't know what you're going to be getting out of him every night. Because if you look at Ja Morant is quickly becoming one of the biggest superstars in the NBA. He's improved every single year he's been in the NBA. Last year was no different. He was averaging 27 points per game, 1.2 steals per game, 7 assists per game, 6 rebounds per game on decent efficiency as well. And I mean, he's just one of the best point guards in the entire NBA. You cannot deny that. And he is a superstar in the NBA right now. There's no denying that. And he brings up their ceiling tremendously. But the reason I think Jaren Jackson Jr. has a bigger impact whether how good this team is going to be or not is because Jaren Jackson Jr., although a very good player in himself and a very good defender, a very inconsistent defender, because when he is able to play his full minutes, he's one of the best defenders in the entire NBA. He's very good, but the only problem he has is he lacks discipline to a whole nother level. It is absolutely insane, to the point to where teams were legitimately taking advantage of that in the NBA playoffs. Very rarely can you see a all-star level player, or at least a star kind of level player in a very good team like the Memphis Grizzlies, just get completely taken advantage of because of lack of discipline. That's either bad coaching or this Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't want to be disciplined, and he needs to work on that, because game after game after game after game against the Golden State Warriors, he was either fouled out or in so much foul trouble he could barely play in the third and fourth quarter. He hurt the team badly, and that was legitimately a huge reason why the Memphis Grizzlies were not able to beat the Golden State Warriors. You would think it was because of really a talent standpoint or a veteran standpoint, and really it wasn't. The only thing was they got outcoached, and the fact that Jaren Jackson Jr. could not stay out of foul trouble at all. And when you have to take away your second best player in your entire team, and you can no longer use him for the third and fourth quarter, the two most important quarters really of the entire game, that is going to affect your chances of winning a lot. And that's exactly why I think Jaren Jackson Jr. affects their ceiling so much, because if he is able to stay healthy, not even healthy, if he's just able to stay in the game through the third and fourth quarter and stay out of foul trouble and play the full minutes he was designed to play, this team is going to be much better than the team that they had last year, where Jaren Jackson Jr. struggled to play a lot of the second half in the playoffs because of so much foul trouble. I think at one point he was averaging 4.5 fouls a game in the playoffs, which is just completely unacceptable coming from your second best player on your entire team, because when half of your star duo is out, that's going to make it very challenging to win playoff games, especially against a team like the Golden State Warriors, and that is a huge reason why they lost in 6 games. So although I do think that their ceiling could be very high, I think it really depends on how disciplined and how much work Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to put in to remaining disciplined going into the future and going into the playoffs going into this season. But another thing that really raises their ceiling is that they have an all-around very, very good roster. Because obviously, like I said, they have the star talent that I just mentioned in Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. And that's who makes them the contenders. The stars is what makes you the contenders and win you the playoff games. But the things that makes you into the NBA Finals contender is having an all-around good roster. And that is exactly what the Memphis Grizzlies have right now. I mean, look at their depth that they have. They have Desmond Bane, who is a great player, a 20-point-per-game scorer last year. Very, very good. He's one of the best role players in the entire NBA, and he is damn near getting to the point where he is above what a role player is. He is in a way above average than most role players. And then same thing with Dillon Brooks. He is also a 20-point-per-game scorer, very, very solid, plays perfectly with the Memphis Grizzlies, is just a very good all-around player that can pretty much do anything you want on the court. Desmond Bane is more of a spot-up kind of knockdown shooter type of guy, but Dillon Brooks can get a shot no matter where he is on the court, and he's just a very, very good player. So those are two extremely good role players, two of probably the best role players in the entire NBA. Like, if you think of players that are not stars, those two are probably at the top of the list at that point. So I think for sure Dillon Brooks and Desmond Bane help this team's ceiling go up tremendously, because they're going to consistently give you around 20 points per game, and you know what you're going to be getting out of them every single game. They're going to work hard, and just play all around very, very good. And then their fifth man in their starting lineup is Steven Adams, who, although Steven Adams is nothing special, he is a starting level center. He can grab rebounds. He's not going to ever do much offensively, and he's going to get taken advantage of on defense a little bit, but he's a very good rim protector, not rim protector, but a very good just paint presence to have. Very strong, can guard other teams' bigs if they have a traditional big man, and he really is just going to help you in a few situations. So he's always nice to have a player like that on your team, and he is the fifth best player on your starting lineup, and Steven Adams is a very solid player to be your fifth best player on your starting lineup. And then even if you look at their bench, they have other players like Brandon Clark, who is very, very good. I think he won Summer League MVP his rookie year, and since then, although he has kind of fallen off a little bit, he is still a very good player, very lengthy, very athletic, and just all around solid, good player to have off your bench. You have a veteran like Danny Green, who's always going to be solid, could win you a few playoff games like he has done in the past. He's just a good shooter, and you're just an all-around good veteran who has tons and tons of experience in the playoffs throughout his career. And then Tyus Jones as well is a very good point guard off anyone's bench. He would be a great rotational player for pretty much any team in the NBA, and those are pretty much the main three guys that are play for them in the playoffs, and are going to play for them in the playoffs this season, and that's why I wanted to talk about them the most. But they do have other players as well on the end of their bench, like maybe Kenny Lofton could develop into something, and a few other players they have as well that are very solid, that will probably be in the rotation at least in the regular season. So it would be cool to see how good the supporting cast can raise their ceiling, and how good they can make this team, and if they can make them into an NBA Finals contending roster by the end of this season. And now, although I don't think the Memphis Grizzlies are good enough to win the finals right now because they don't have that third star level player, I do think for sure that they could give a lot of legitimate finals contending teams like the Clippers, the Lakers, the Bucks, although they're not in the Bucks division, but like those teams like that, they could give a lot of them a run for their money in a 7-game series. And I wouldn't say they're going to definitely lose to really any team in the entire playoffs. Now, you can say that they won't be favorited in some series, but I wouldn't say that any team they go against is a guaranteed loss for them, because they do have the talent to beat anyone in a 7-game series. I just don't think they have the most talented team. Now, as far as their coaching and all that goes, hopefully maybe their coach can give them a good system, and if that system's good enough, they can easily be a dark horse contending team and could make the NBA Finals in some other universe, or even in this one, you never know. But I do think on the chances are they won't make the finals, but they're going to be one of those very, very good teams that no one wants to see going into next season, especially going into the playoffs next season. But unfortunately, guys, that's me for this video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think the Memphis Grizzlies could become the next super team? Do you think they're going to be good? I want your thoughts in the comment sections below. If you like video, point the like button, subscribe button, and the episode word on me. And I hope you have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. So you need a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.